Okay, so you probably noticed, but already, but Angel is unable to facilitate today's meeting, so she asked me to step in, and I'm joined with Melissa, Maya, and Sarah, who are the rest of the Mobility for All team that's here today, and we're just gonna tag team and facilitate today's meeting. So thank you all for being here. Um, we can we can get started. And yeah, hey Maya, would you? Yeah, thank you. So you already know this. These are some Zoom features and housekeeping. So you can join on your phone, you can join on your laptop, and if you could, for now, just for the introductions and as we are doing some warm-up back and forth, if you wanted to turn on your camera, that would be great so that we can see you and see your face for a little bit. And just remember to mute yourself unless you are talking. You can use the raise hand if you wanted to add a comment, or you can add any feedback in the chat, any comments that you want. We will be monitoring those. So hopefully we have a lot of you engaging today and asking good questions. Just as a reminder, the for Mobility and Access Coalition, we are here because we care about transportation access. We think that it's a important thing to have in our communities, to have access to different opportunities and services. It increases our quality of life and it gives us access to basic needs. So we really think that having equitable transportation access helps us thrive as community. Next one, please. So as you can see, we have a very long agenda, and we're just excited to hear from all of you. We'll start with the welcoming and then, oh, sorry. And then also organizational updates from different partners. We also have a few internal updates from the Mobility for All team. Then we have 3 different presentations. And then we'll just adjourn and meet again on September 17th. So we can start with a quick welcome and warm up. So here's the question. It's a two-part question. The first part is fun, and the second part is related to work. So did you enjoy going back to school when you were a kid? Yes or no? And why? And also, are there any updates from your organization that you want to share? And I know we have a lot of organizations here. I see people from RTD, Colorado Car Share, Dr. Cog, Peak to Peak, Dr. Mac. So I know Via, I know that there are updates out there. So I'm just gonna pause for a second and see if somebody would like to share their answer. You can raise your hand and I'll give you, the opportunity to speak, or you can also put your responses in the chat. Hey, Stephanie.
Hi. I just wanted to share out, we've been sending emails and social media and everything, but Dr. Mack is hosting our Transit to Wellness Expo on the 30th, August 30th, so next Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. in City Park. I can put the link to the event page in the chat, but it's free to attend. We're going to have food trucks, a face painter, music, raffles, fun games, but it's essentially kind of a resource fair style event. So we'll have, I think, around 20 different tables there. So if you're looking to learn about some resources in the community, from transit to healthcare, caregiver resources, all the things like that, we hope to see you there.
Wait, did you enjoy going back to school?
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm sorry, I totally missed that part of the question. Yes, I think my favorite part about going back to school was like, I think I don't know. I definitely don't shop for clothes as much as I do now, but like shopping for school supplies and things like that. Just kind of getting a new set of like a new pencil case and some new pencils and things like that. That was really exciting for me, and that was my favorite part, I think.
I can relate 100%. Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. Brandon.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brandon Figliolino. He, him, his. I am the community engagement manager at RTD, and I loved going back to school. I loved getting to meet my teachers and see my friends and have stability and structure in my day, as opposed to just being bored or arguing with my brother. Uh, an update, I'm going to be talking about Zero Fare for Youth, but I also wanted to share that our community engagement team is growing at RTD. And so joining me on this call is my new teammate, Gabriel Martinez. And so you will see us out and about, and we're looking forward to working with you all this fall and winter. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon. Gabriel, would you like to briefly introduce yourself to this group?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Gabriel Martinez. As Brandon said, I'm the new community engagement specialist at RTD. Previously, I worked in refugee resettlement and in food security, so let's say nonprofits. And I'm very excited to take some of that community engagement experience here into the public sector, especially with public transportation, which is something that is so important to me. For a long time, elementary and middle school, I always look forward to finding out where I would sit. But that changed in high school. I was placed next to a girl named, well, it doesn't matter what she was named, but she she tore out my eyelashes one day because they were so long and she wanted to measure them. And I guess I do have long eyelashes, but that was the first time that anyone had torn them out of my head. So I kind of stopped looking forward to where I would sit after that point.
And it became a core memory, it seems like.
It came up here, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for introducing yourself and welcome to the RTD team and welcome to the Mobility and Access Coalition meetings. Yeah, looking forward to working with you. Lynn, do you want to go next?
Sure. Thank you very much. And welcome, Gabriel, to RTD. I'm the RTD director for Boulder, Louisville, Superior, Lyons, and part of Longmont and Western Boulder County. Our chair is Eric Davidson, who represents Eastern Boulder County and Broomfield. I was chair last year, and I'm working here not as in that official capacity, but working on a campaign. The RTD board in June referred a measure to the ballot that is a debrucing measure. And the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, or TABOR, has a method of calculating a cap that local governments and agencies are limited to in terms of their revenues. And beyond that, money has to be returned to the taxpayers. And that from the state has been a big check recently. If it happens from RTD, it would probably be $20 or $25 per taxpayer, but it would cost RTD millions of dollars. And we've been exempted from the TABOR cap in 1999 in an election, but that exemption expires later this year. So we're going back to ask the taxpayers. The good news is it starts off by saying without raising any new taxes. We're just saying without raising any new taxes, can RTD keep the revenue that it is currently bringing in? And this will have varying effects on RTD depending on the year. Most of our funding, it's about 75% of our funding is a 1 cent sales tax, and this will affect 6/10 of that, the original before fast tracks. So it'll be about $600 million a year that would become subject to this. And the real problem is when we have a downturn in the economy, like we had in the pandemic or in 2008, it ratchets the number down that we can keep, and it affects it for a long time thereafter. So in 2022, for example, RTD would have had to refund about $50 million. It's a big number for RTD and for all of us in terms of keeping our transit services and trying to grow those. So the issue is, do you need me to wrap up?
Oh,
So, no. Okay.
Sorry, I was just agreeing to what you were saying.
Okay, great. I won't be long anyhow, but RTDs, as a special district, we are way down the ballot. We're down near the very end, and there are a lot of things on the ballot this year. We'll see what happens with the special session on the property tax. That may get rid of some of them. So I'm encouraging everybody to vote down to the ballot, and even more. I know you represent a lot of different organizations. I know I saw Lisa here, and thank you to Via Mobility. They came out the gates really early endorsing RTD's ballot issue, and I'm going to put my email. It's my home email since I'm for campaign finance reasons. I don't use RTD materials, but I would love to talk further with any of you who have organizations that would consider endorsing. That's what we're really looking for right now. And there's a great grassroots group that's working on it, COPERG and Green Latinos, 2 or 3 of the disability organizations, Colorado Cross Disability Coalition, Via Mobility, lots of others that have endorsed and are working to get other endorsements. But I would be happy to answer more questions, get you materials, and would really appreciate all the endorsements. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. Yeah, and I think if you can add your information, that will be helpful for all of us who want to connect with you.
I will do that.
Thank you. Lisa, do you want to go next?
Thanks, Jessica. Lisa Bitzer from Via Mobility Services. I'm the Director of Operations. We are added a few new services for this summer until the end of the year. We've put an extra day for the mountain ride on Mondays, which is being utilized really well. Midday service for the Lions Flyer at 12 o'clock. Also doing midday service for the homeless shelter run. So anyone that needs that service to get to and from the homeless shelter, we now have, starts at 10:30, takes them up and to the homeless shelter, and then can bring them back at 1:30 after lunch and go back into Boulder if they want. And then we added Milliken this month to our Weld County pilot. So excited about these new additions, and definitely looking forward to getting more people on transit and getting them where they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. I don't know if you enjoyed going back to school when you were a kid. Did you talk about
it? I did. It was a great way to be with all my friends.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Jen, do you want to go next?
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. I am Jen Oaks. I wear various hats, but today I'm wearing my ACL hat, which is Association for Community Living in Broomfield and Longmont. But we're actually ACL Boulder, but we serve those counties. And we are opening up for board members in January. So I'm just putting the word out there. If anyone has any interest, let me know. Put my email in the chat, and you can tell me then. I school. I liked elementary school, hated middle school. I was okay with high school, so I'm back and forth.
Okay, so you fluctuated depending on the year you were on.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jen, and yeah, thanks for adding your information in the chat so people can get in touch with you. Gail, do you want to go next?
Sure. My name is Gail Rains, and I am in the Information Technology Department at Boulder County. I just have a great interest in the ADA policies, rules, laws. And so this is a group I've just been coming to really hear about what is happening with the transportation, and making sure that, not I don't make sure, but I like to hear the improvements every year that everyone is making, and sometimes I'll throw something in there like we need trikes instead of bicycles, because when you get older you lose your balance, and so trikes would be an awesome addition to the bicycle program that they have. As far as going back to school, I loved going back to school in elementary school. Like Brandon, I like the social part. I like to see my friends. I like to have a structured day so that I didn't have to think of anything to do. Mostly I just jumped on a trampoline. So it was good to go back to school. As far as high school goes, I did not like high school. I graduated a year early so I could get out of high school earlier. But I did not go on to college. Right after that, I waited a year to go with the rest of my friends. So there you go. That's why you have it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing, Gail. And yeah, thanks for being here. We are going to move on to organizational updates. So if we can move on to the next slide. I believe.
Hey, do I get to say anything?
Oh, did you want to say something, Lisa?
Well, I joined really late. And my apologies for that.
Oh.
I think, the one thing that I'm finding out about this work is you have to build relationships, and it takes time. I went through it with one person. But I have a transportation story for y'all. I got really frustrated with RTD because I was trying to take RTD to Chautauqua during the summer. And the fact is, you go to a satellite and then you pick up via, or you take via. And so that was my transportation story. And even RTD didn't know what was going on. So
yeah. Well, thanks for sharing.
They tried to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sorry that happened to you.
No, it made Morphin and Fetcher, and I ended up meeting them at the Southside Cafe. I did enjoy going back to school when I was a kid because everything was new. It was a new start.
Yeah.
But like the last person I spoke, I ran away in my junior year of high school, of girls' school, and I did go back. I did get into college at that time, but so there you go. I just wanted you to know I'm here, Jessica.
Oh, yeah, awesome. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. We are going to move on because we have a long agenda. And Lynn, I realized you were sharing your update, but we actually had some time allocated for you to talk about the RTD TABOR cap exemption. So
I'm
is there
sorry
anything
about
else?
that. I didn't I thought that was the update. So I'm happy to take some questions. For starters, I gave you kind of the real short version. Are there any questions? I could expand a little bit.
Yeah, are there any questions for Lynn?
Somebody is asking, what will the title of the initiative be on the ballot? We are waiting to get a ballot number and a title. I don't think we get a number until September 5th. And then the campaign is kicking off on September 6th. I think probably at 11 a.m. We're still waiting for confirmation from the RTD station at Decatur and Federal. And we're hoping to have a lot of endorsements by then and a lot of people that turn out. I actually will be out of town, so I won't be there, but maybe Brandon will be, huh, Brandon? I think, we're getting good support. Before we went to the ballot, we did some polling in April, and we had 68% of people saying that they would support this RTD ballot issue. And, since then we've had some maintenance issues. It's very hard with the system getting older that, and I'm very appreciative that our CEO and staff have taken the hard line of saying, yeah, you know, we have to maintain this, even though it means that some of our light rail lines will have slower service, and it made a lot of people upset, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll have that and the downtown loop maintenance all done by September, and people will forget it by November. So we'll see. It looks like Brandon and someone else had hands up. Is that for questions? Great.
Do you want to go first, Brandon, and then we can pass it to Jen?
Sure, Lynn. Thank you so much for the update. I know that the Front Range passenger rail isn't going to the ballot, but do we know of any other TABOR-related measures that are going to be on the ballot that might compete with us?
I have heard, I'm pretty sure that Jefferson County is going for a TABOR debrucing as well to not be subject to their cap. And this will be their third try. They have not been successful, which is actually kind of unusual. The state has not been able to get out of the TABOR cap, but almost all of the cities and counties and school boards throughout the state have had TABOR debrucings and are no longer limited by the exemption. So I think Jefferson County is, and then Brandon, I heard that Lakewood is, but I don't think that has happened yet. I'm not
okay
about that. So yeah, there are two others. We hope that won't hurt us too badly. We have a great team that's campaign manager, Craig Hughes, who has done he's done Senator Michael Bennett's campaign and other big ones. So like I say, we have a great grassroots group. So please do take my email, let me know. I'll also check back in with you, Jessica, and your team, and Angel, and see if there are people that I'm happy to go do a presentation or get you materials.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Lynn.
Jen, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I was wondering if RTD has any plan to expand services again, or will this ballot decrease service?
We always are trying to expand service, and the biggest issue is our workforce. And staff has been very focused on that. We have a new HR person, and we have right now our starting jobs for operator start at just over $24 an hour, double time for overtime, and within 2 years you're up to 26 with a $4,000 bonus for signing. So we are planning to expand services. My hope is that we will see a couple of expansions. I know that the LX from Longmont to Denver and the AB from Boulder to the airport, which is always jammed. I think that both of those are at the top of the list, and I'm hoping even in the January service change that we'll have enough. It looks like Danny has posted something here. Do you have anything else to add there, Danny? Do you know any more on that? Or Brandon?
Hey, yeah, I'm happy to chime in. Well, and really just to reiterate what you're already saying. Hi, everyone. I'm Danny from Civil Rights at RTD. But as far as I know, especially with the January service changes for 2025, we are expecting restoration of some service that has been gone since the pandemic. And like Lynn was saying, that's largely due to the increase in operator ranks. So I think as of May of this year, we were over 90% staffed up on the bus side, 84% for light rail. So that has allowed us, or will allow us, to bring back some of those services that, that were around before and haven't been for a while. So I would encourage everyone to read that CPR article. It's very digestible, summation of essentially the return to service that we can see in January. And the updated service changes, Brandon might have more information on this, but specifics should be posted within the next few months.
Right. Good. Thanks. Brandon?
Yeah, Jen, great question. I'll just add that our guiding document for expanding service is our system optimization plan, which the board of directors approved back in 2022. And so as we are gaining the operator resources and the people power to make implementations or changes, we're using that document as our guiding light. And I'm happy to share that in the chat.
No, that's great. That'd be good. That's right. And we're working towards completing the SOP, this system optimization plan, the service that's planned there, which I think it's valid through 2027. But I believe here in the next few months, we're going to start looking at that again to see if if there's a successor that we need to start thinking about for that.
Yeah, and Denise asked a question in the chat whether there's access to a list of talking points, and I think Danny responded that it would be great to share assets in support of the measure with other stakeholders. So is there anything along those lines, Lynn?
Sure, I can get you some of that information, Jessica. We have several things that I can send out to you, and maybe we can coordinate a little bit about who I could help, encourage. As I said, the kickoff is September 6th. If you have an organization that can do an endorsement before that, that would be great. We're getting great support. I think somebody put in that the Boulder Chamber has endorsed, the Denver Metro Chamber has endorsed. We're hoping to hear from the Metro Mayors, which is an organization of all the mayors in the next few days, and hoping they will endorse, and many organizations that represent people like many of you represent that rely on transit or believe in transit are jumping in to endorse. So I'll get you some information, okay?
Right. Thank you so much. Carla, do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. I just want to share with anyone that might be related to RTD hiring department, and maybe the right person is not in this call, that the Latino Chamber can support workforce development efforts. If you contact us, we can definitely, I know people is one of the biggest issues for many of the big companies that are hiring multiple positions. And I think the pay rate is fair and it could be attractive to many people. So we can definitely work on those efforts, and especially with our biggest event of the year coming up on October 26th, we can give exposure to any of our partners if they want our help. So I'm gonna drop my email in the chat so anyone can contact me in these regards.
Great.
Hey, Carla, thank you so much. I just dropped Rachel Cilio as one of our senior talent acquisition partners at RTD. She would be a great resource for you.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brandon, and thank you, Carla. That's great.
I love those synergies and collaboration happening in real time.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for Lynn? Otherwise, we can move on to another RTD related topic.
Brandon's.
But okay.
Great,
If
thank
not,
you.
you can always, you can always add more questions, and you have Lynn's information too in the chat. So this is yeah, we'll still be thinking about this and showing our support. Brandon, do you want to talk a little bit about Zero Fare for Youth?
Yeah, absolutely. So you may be familiar that last year RTD implemented a pilot program called Zero Fare for Youth, which provided no-cost transit rides for any individual 19 years of age or younger, starting September 1st at the beginning of the school year. That was implemented as part of a recommendation from our fare study and equity analysis. And after receiving feedback and doing some surveys, we have proposed, or we did propose to the board of directors to make that a permanent program. And last month they did make it a permanent program of ours. So we are very, very excited about that. And that means regardless of whether the state will provide grant funding or not, youth will ride for no cost. We do say zero fare. We don't say free rides or anything like that. So we try to keep that lexicon zero fare. And so moving forward, the program has already been implemented, so youth can ride for no cost. we are asking that our community partners, such as yourselves, share this message. We are finalizing our updated toolkit, which will be available on our website, that will have bilingual flyers and social graphics and social media post language, as well as verbiage that you can use in newsletters to educate your community members about Zero Fare. And then we also ask for your support in educating students as they're taking the system. One of the issues where we've run into over this program is having students verifying their age. And so we do require that students present a photo ID for their school or a driver's license. That way we can confirm that they are actually under the age threshold. And so we are asking for community member support to remind people that when you are taking the bus or the train, to have your student ID or another government issued ID on your person. That way, if you are asked to provide it, you can. And I'm happy to take any questions.
It's like, Cammie may have a question.
What's up, Cammie?
Thanks, Brandon. So happy about this. Can you speak a little bit more about the ID for the kids or the students that might be older who are college age? Are they, how they're supposed to navigate? Are they getting questioned at all? Will they get questioned, or is their college ID going to be good enough and we're not going to worry about it? I'm just,
exactly.
I've had a question in my personal life about it, so I wanted to have an answer.
Yeah, precisely. It's actually the older young adults that are causing the issue, because there are individuals that they're not bringing their ID, and so they may look like they're over the age of 19. So for the students who are 19, we definitely recommend a driver's license if they have one, or another government issued license, because obviously the school ID might make it a little bit more challenging because it doesn't have their grade on it. It's not going to say freshman. But yeah, any sort of government issued ID should reduce that conflict. We just want to make sure that if they are under the age of 19, they don't need to pay a fare. And we've seen that if they don't have their ID and there's no way to justify them getting on for no cost, then they have to pay. And so we want to reduce that conflict.
Super helpful. Thanks, Brandon.
Oh, thank you. Any other questions for Brandon? I know that it will be very helpful, like you said, having the toolkit so that we can also start promoting this. I know that we did it when it was a pilot, but I think that it's good to keep letting people know that it's a permanent thing, and especially now with going back to school.
Absolutely.
Brandon,
and so, oh yeah,
sorry.
Go for it.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I was just gonna ask you about so little kids, like 7, 8, 9, 10, they're okay without an ID, or it's to encourage that they still have one?
So if they are obvious, if they look very, very young, I would say it's not a big deal. It's really those high school students that look like they are much older than they actually are in age. So we're just trying to say the blanket, bring a student ID, but obviously if they're a 7th grader, we're not going to say you're 21, pay the fare.
Yeah. Okay, I figured that was true. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Brandon.
I will just share that we're out and about in the community, and so we've gone to schools for back to school nights and are happy to give presentations and do other activities around youth to promote this. And so if you have any ideas or collaborations, definitely reach out to me. I'll drop my email in the chat.
Awesome.
My cat agrees. If you can't hear her, she's agreeing with me that Zero Fare for Youth is great.
I can't, but I wish. Awesome. Before we move on to the next slide, I know, Danny, you wanted to give an update about the RTD bus stop inventory project. Do you want to do that now?
Yeah, I'm happy to do it now. So again, hello everyone. My name is Danny McLean, Transit Equity Specialist within the Civil Rights Division at RTD. And I wanted to just spend a few moments to give you a broad overview of our bus stop infrastructure accessibility assessment that is upcoming. So this project has been a long time coming. We're very excited for it, and it's set to launch in fall of this year. But essentially, and as everyone in the room knows, there's a lot of RTD bus stops. There's over 8,000 that are considered active and serviced, and they vary tremendously in the quality of the stop as well as the accessibility of the stop. So for instance, missing sidewalk, perhaps some stops have amenities like a shelter or a bench or a trash can and others don't. Basically, there's a lot of variation, and RTD doesn't have very updated information, unfortunately, on the state of all the bus stops across our service area. So the assessment that is set to happen in collaboration with a consultant in the fall of this year is going to last approximately 15 months. And one of the outcomes is to produce an inventory and a fully updated inventory of all the stops in the area, which includes an assessment of their accessibility and things like the general customer experience. So in addition to the production of that updated inventory, out of that project, we're also hoping to get a prioritization schedule. So for instance, how do we prioritize stop improvements based on the demographics of the area? Is it an area of persistent poverty, or perhaps there's a hospital nearby? So creating essentially a strategy for us to implement future improvements, as well as a plan for stakeholder engagement, right? How do we get all the municipalities and other governmental stakeholders on board to support this project and make sure we can improve bus stops in the future? So that's kind of a high level debriefing of the project. Very excited about it. Lots of overlap with equity and the topics that we talk about regularly in this group. So yeah, I really look forward to it, and I'm sure we'll have more information as the project actually starts up here in a month or so. So any questions at this point?
Is there a landing page, Danny? Or
there is not, because we're still at the final points of the procurement process in which the consultant needs to sign their agreement to do the work. So no, there's not really like publicly accessible information at this point.
But
yeah,
there will be at some point?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Cool. And is there a way that like citizens, like the public, can like add to it, like they can let RTD know of any problems, or is that more like the Transit Watch app?
So that would be, so in terms of just ongoing reporting, like, hey, this stop has an issue?
Yeah, there's a bench outside the bus stop by my house that keeps getting tagged.
Okay.
Stuff like that. Like stuff like kind of safety sorta, but like just minor, but also like, I don't know.
Yeah. So for a query like that, I would recommend that you contact customer care, or you can submit the online form, and then they put that into their Salesforce, management system, and the individuals on the facilities maintenance side get notified about those issues and then tend to them accordingly. Now, if you're noticing at your, given stop that there's a recurring issue and RTD hasn't resolved it, you can feel free to reach out to me. I've personally prodded some folks, when issues have arisen to address different stop infrastructure issues. So feel free to do that as a last resort, I will say.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, it's hard because like RTD can't fix that, but it's just like, what do you do? I don't know, but thank you.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a question for you in the chat, Danny. Let's see.
Yeah, that was
Go ahead.
I was just curious if you've been collaborating with the Transit app at all, with like they have like all of those like questions when you start a trip. And I feel like I've gotten a lot more of those questions about exactly what you're talking about. So I wasn't sure if you were surveying already and if you might be using that data.
No, so that is a separate endeavor and not part of this project. However, it is an interesting point that you raised, that can we use the data collected through that surveying for this purpose as well? So I appreciate you flagging that.
any other questions for Danny? Sounds like a very interesting, needed project. And yeah, I'm excited to see how we can have this inventory, better the stops, and then have an equity lens throughout this whole process. So thanks for sharing, Danny, and keep us updated. I know how procurement, all of that contracting takes a while. I know, I feel your pain. So whenever the landing page is ready and more information comes up, please let us know.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't know if you added already your email to the chat, but you can do that in case people want to reach out to you directly. Okay, now we're gonna move on with Melissa's update about the mobility options flyers and posters distribution.
Yeah, so mine will be super quick. I think I've talked about this several times in this meeting already, but if you haven't requested mobility options flyers, we officially have them in the office, and I've begun to distribute them to those who've requested them. We had about 40 organizations or partners ask for the posters and flyers for Boulder, Longmont, Erie, Lyons, Superior, Louisville, Lafayette, Niwot, and Nederland. I think that's all of them. I've gotten very good at remembering all of the names of all of the cities. So if you haven't requested them and you would like some, I'm going to put the Google form in the chat. But if you have, they are on their way. I'm working on it. So thanks.
Yeah. And they're very pretty posters, I gotta say. The glossy paper, they're very colorful. And I know Melissa worked on those for a very long time. They're bilingual too. So you can have them both in English and Spanish. And if you want them, you just need to let us know and we'll mail them for you. We'll mail them to you for free. Yeah. Thanks, Melissa. Oh, Bobby agrees with me. She says that the posters do look great. Thanks, Bobby. Okay. We can move on to the next update. Actually, Lisa from Via Mobility Services, you talked very briefly about this already, but just for those of you who are not aware, mountain rides, that's a service that we have in the mountains. It started servicing on Mondays since July 1st. So it was a new kind of like a change in the program, and the service basically expanded, and it seems like people are using it. I don't know, Lisa, if you want to talk a little bit about the ridership. I know we mentioned that it has increased steadily. So
yeah, done really well. We're averaging 10 to 15 people using, or 10 to 15 trips a day using that Monday service. So definitely became very popular very quick. Lovely fixed route that stops at multiple destinations, getting people for the medical care that they need, to be able to go to the senior center, to be able to go to the food bank up there. And so far so good. And nice to see people utilizing it and getting where they need to go, and increasing the people coming for the lunches. They've seen an increase due to it. So that's really good. Glad to see people using it and enjoying the service.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. And for those of you who want to learn more about mountain rides, I added the link to the chat so that you can go to the website and see the route, and yeah, hopefully promote it too, so that we can have ridership increasing even more. Okay, we can move on to the next quick update that I have. So I don't know if you all remember, probably not, but at the end of last year, I started working on a survey to promote or vote for favorite mobility heroes. And we got 6 different categories. So we have favorite regional bus driver, favorite local bus driver, favorite school driver, favorite safety professional, favorite volunteer drivers, and favorite taxi drivers. So we surveyed you and other people in the region. We got responses and we selected our winners. We also worked on a driver appreciation campaign. I've basically been doing that since the year started. And after doing several interviews, working with a marketing company, we are getting very ready to launch that campaign. And along with the campaign, we want to have a celebration to recognize those mobility heroes and have everybody come together and eat and give them prizes, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we have a couple of dates. It's going to be in November. So we're deciding between November 13th, 14th, and 15th. So, you know, a little bit ahead, but just wanted to put that in your radar. It will be great if, you know, all of us can come from different agencies. We interviewed drivers and safety professionals from very different organizations, RTD, VIA, Cultivate, C-Trip, and we just are excited for you to hear more about those drivers and then also celebrate them together. So more information to come on that celebration. Just know it's going to be November 13th, 14th, or 15th, and it's going to be a fun time. Any questions about that?
Just a note, Jess, that Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day is also on the 14th.
Oh, sorry, Cammie, you're cutting off a little bit. Say that again.
November 14th is also Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day.
Oh,
just
okay.
to note that, yeah, in case
Okay.
there might be conflicts for folks.
Okay, yeah, good to know. Thank you, Cammie. Yay. Okay. Now we can move on to the next update. I think this is gonna come from Cory. We talk about NoCo volunteer trip exchange. Cory, are
Sure.
you?
Yep, I'm here. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so just wanted to share a quick update about a big project that has been underway for the past really 3.5 years in Northern Colorado in Larimer and Weld counties, which was component of our Ride NoCo program, One Call, One Click Center, to build a information and assistance website and call center to help people find transportation options in the Fort Collins, Loveland, and Greeley areas. Finally, this month, or last month, we were able to launch really the kind of the cornerstone piece of the project, which was something that allows us, you know, usually at most information and assistance centers, you walk folks through their transportation needs, and you can say, okay, here's the phone number of the provider that can probably serve you. Here's their phone number, give them a call. Beginning this quarter, we are now able to conduct initial intake over the phone and seamlessly send all that information to 3 select volunteer transportation providers in the region, which really cuts down on the friction and the wait time for folks needing to sign up for specialized transportation services. It's been a long road to get there, and we're concurrently getting ready to launch kind of the next phase of this TDS technology, which will allow the volunteer transportation providers themselves to share trips and coordinate rides, whether that means gifting a trip from one provider to another if they're unable to fulfill that ride, or if it, you know, really doing kind of a leapfrog approach to allow their clients to get to further destinations across the region. So really excited in the months and years to come to share kind of our findings and results. And we hope that this is just the first step in getting more human service, nonprofit, and public transit providers on this transactional data specification.
Yeah, very important efforts, Cory. And I know it's been a long project, so good job. Any questions for Cory? Well, if not, then we can move on to the next update, which also involves Cory. So, do you want to talk a little bit about this joint in-person meeting?
Yeah, I'm happy to take it. When looking out at our calendars, we noticed that so typically the Boulder County MAC meets on the third Tuesday, and the Northern Colorado Mobility Committees meet on the fourth Tuesday. But due to Thanksgiving, we bumped our November meeting up to the third Tuesday, and it was at the same time and the same date, which seemed like the universe saying, let's collaborate and have a kind of a larger regional mobility meeting. We moved the dates around to be able to accommodate the Mobility Hero celebration and the holidays, and we're excited to announce that on December 3rd from 1 to 3:30 p.m. at the Berthoud Town Hall, we'll be having a in-person with a hybrid option for a meeting of the Boulder County MAC, the Larimer County Mobility Committee, and the Weld County Mobility Committees. And we really want to use this opportunity to increase kind of that networking and relationship building of our regional partners, and then hear a little bit from both regions about kind of what goals and needs we have, and see where there's alignment to work together, because we know our region is continuing to grow, and people's lives don't stop at county lines or even regional lines anymore, and we really want to make sure that we can, as we grow, that we continue to build those relationships and networks to help people get the resources that they need to thrive.
Yeah, we're excited about this. I don't know if it has been done in the past, but I know that I don't think we've done this since I started this job. So I think it will be a good place for us to collaborate and network more with our partners in other counties and close to the region. And yeah, December 3rd. So hopefully you can put that on your calendars. And I added the address and the time. Yes, this 30 is December 3rd, not February 3rd. Thanks, Melissa. Yeah.
So we need to sign up separately for that from the regular scheduled meeting, or will that get updated automatically? Or I'm sure we'll get more information, but.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Cory.
Oh, I was going to say on our end, we'll update our calendar invite, and we, Jessica and Angel are welcome to pass that along to the signee list, or whatever you all want to do to kind of coincide the meeting times, whatever is easiest.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think we've thought about that just yet, but there's probably gonna be, a different calendar invite and a reminder for people, because I know it's, in person and probably need to plan a little bit more for it. But yeah, staying in the loop.
Is that accessible by transit for the Berthoud Town Hall?
It is. You can take the Transports Flex route. There's a stop a couple blocks from the town hall.
Is that Mountain and Second Stop?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I know right where that is. Thank you.
Yeah. And Elaine is saying that we can also carpool. So yeah, I like that. We can carpool from Boulder to Longmont. Yeah. Maybe we can add that to the invite, like a quick survey, like, would you be interested in carpooling or something like that? So that's a good idea. Thanks, Elaine. Awesome. Okay, well, we can move on to the next part of the agenda. So we're gonna start with the presentations. We have about, half an hour or so, a little bit more. Our first presentation is from Melissa, right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna talk about Safe Routes to School, and then we have Cammie too, talking about Longmont Vision Zero action, and then Carly. So yeah, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I'll keep it pretty brief so that we could save some time for other presenters, but I just wanted to give you all a brief presentation update on how the Safe Routes to School multi-generational bike access and education program has been going. We officially finished year 1 of 2 for the grant that we received, and we were working with Lafayette Elementary School to, improve bike access, safety education, and through this project was able to also do it on the multi-generational approach. So getting, youth and families out and about as a family together was kind of the intent and direction of this project. So just for a bit of background, this school in particular was selected for our project because with a survey that was done with the school district, almost 120 students that go to that school live within a 1 mile radius of the school. So it's a perfect way to kind of sub out those car drop-off trips with alternate modes. So that was kind of our intention when we applied for this grant, and kind of promote that multimodal travel to school and then beyond, because there's more to life than just school and work. So with that, the project design was to have adults and youth do this together, have really good in-depth education for both new and inexperienced bicyclists, and keep in mind that from start to finish, everything that they needed to be successful bikers would be included. So, and I have a couple photos of our events to the side, and everyone was really happy and excited to be there. And I think the only partner from our group that's on here is Amy, but I think the team worked really well together for year one, and I'm excited to do it again. Can I go to the next slide, please? So outcomes for the project: all 50 bikes found homes across 11 families. So grandparents, moms, dads, partners, siblings, everyone from ages 90 to 4 were able to get bikes. Many of them were first-time riders. They've never owned a bike before, never ridden a bike before. So that was really exciting to get people out and about. And lessons learned, since this was a project that I took over from Cammie, who's here today. We kind of went in to the deep end, or at least I did. But what I learned was the BVSD community liaison was absolutely essential. She knows every single family, she knows all of their business, and was able to really, connect with them to get them really stoked about participating in the event. And the bilingual staff and volunteers that we had really stepped up. We had some weather trouble. We had a big crowd of people indoors. So it was really loud, and they were great, and I really appreciate them. Things I learned to look out for next year is that people like to exaggerate their heights. So when we asked them, would you like a bike? Could you give us your height and weight and age and all of that? A lot of people added a couple inches or so. So we did not necessarily have the right size bikes for every single person, but luckily Community Cycles was able to swap out some of our bikes with other bikes that we work with them on. So we did have bikes for them. It just wasn't the ones we originally intended. The practice rides we had with Bicycle Colorado were really well planned. We were going to do 4 of them around Lafayette to some, pretty notable places in the area, helping people get more comfortable with the biking on the road practice. But attendance was low for those events, and I think in the future we're going to try to incentivize their attendance a bit more after they've received their bike. And then unfortunately, just due to the end of the year scramble, we were not able to really tie it into the bike to school, bike to work day. So I think I'd like to try to keep in mind and spread the word for that for next year, and maybe invite both cohorts of families to participate in that. So yeah, but that's it. And I'm really looking forward to doing it again this year. We're already looking for our families right now. So yeah. And if anyone has questions, I can answer a couple.
Well, you have a few comments in the chat.
Okay.
Danny says, I love this project, Melissa. Awesome job. And then Cammie says, fantastic job, Melissa, Amy, and the rest of the team. So glad we all benefit from what you're learning on this project. And yeah, excited for year 2. And yeah, it's just like I know that you work so much on this project, and there's a lot of coordination and collaboration and a lot of partners too. So it's a lot of planning, but I think it's just very beautiful to see all those pictures with kids and families writing and learning how to write together too.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. And the picture of Maya there, I give her extra kudos because she spent like 2 hours with this little girl trying to teach her how to ride her bike. And after a while, you get pretty tired running around as they bike. So
yeah. Well, yeah, and I think, oh, sorry, Cammie, you want to say something?
I just want to give a public shout out to Melissa, because to take over as a project manager when someone is leaving is not an easy transition, but you and Amy and the rest of the partners have clearly kept the intent and like almost to a T implemented as envisioned. So I'm just really thankful and proud of you all. So it's awesome job. That was not easy to do and you've done great.
Yay.
So go, Melissa.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Well, we will keep you updated with the upcoming events that we have for free bikes, and in the meantime, I think we can move on to the next presentation. So thanks again, Melissa, for what you presented and the lessons learned. And we can pass it over to Cammie.
Thanks, Jess. And I think it may have got a little lost in translation, but Carly and I are presenting together. And Carly's got the slides, so we'll have her pop on and she'll probably share. But we'll do ours in partnership, so it might go a little faster.
Yeah, that's great.
I started sharing my screen. Can you see the presentation?
Yeah, we can, yes.
Great. So as Cammie said, we'll be presenting the Transportation Mobility Plan as well as the Vision Zero Plan in tandem. So we'll share updates about the TMP, where we've been and where we're going, as well as for Vision Zero, and then talk about how those two plans really weave together. So starting with the Transportation Mobility Plan. So there are 2 phases of the project. The first phase was about visioning and existing conditions and reaching out to the community in coordination with those existing conditions. And now we're in phase 2, where we're making recommendations based off of our analysis and what we've heard from the community, and of that snapshot in time of what's on the ground today. So our recommendations are multimodal in nature. We'll prioritize those recommendations. We'll identify programs and policies in addition to those infrastructure improvements, and then present those for final adoption the end of this year, early next year. So we'll go through the recommendations for each mode, which we've recently presented to the community and we're getting feedback on today. So what we heard during phase 1 of community outreach early in 2024 fell under a few key themes. So we had an online interactive web map where people were able to drop pins and lines throughout Longmont and identify locations where there were barriers to walking and barriers to biking, transit, or even challenges driving. We've translated those spatial feedback, a heat map of those comments of where did we see the highest density of concerns related to crossing the street or to accessing bus stops, and made sure that we have recommendations on the infrastructure side in order to address those areas of high concern. We also heard from a community a desire to kind of flip the hierarchy. Longmont has traditionally focused more on the private automobile, to start to reprioritize and focus on improving walking, biking, and transit to provide multimodal transportation options and really lower the barriers and increase the comfort for people moving with non-auto modes. And then we heard feedback on the vision and goals, so kind of that high level path of what do we want the future of transportation in Longmont to look like in 20 years and how do we get there? And this is going to inform project prioritization. So each of those goals will be associated with a performance measure and used to create a really data-driven approach to project prioritization. So we have a slide on each of the modal recommendations. We first identified a goal and then a recommendation for that mode, and we have some details of what's included in that recommendation. So for walking in Longmont, the goal is to fill in all of the sidewalk gaps and to upgrade sidewalks that are not currently ADA accessible, either because they're too narrow or maybe they have the gaps or the material type is not meeting ADA standards. So we've created a prioritization process to identify what corridors do we want to fill in those gaps first or upgrade those deficient sidewalks first. So that prioritization is really based off of street classification, access to transit, and access to other key destinations. So this will help guide the city as funding becomes available of where do they want to put that funding first to help kind of complete that sidewalk network. On the biking side, the goal is to make biking comfortable and convenient for all ages and abilities. So we really want a dense bike network that meets the level of traffic stress goals of having a 1 or a 2 for those interested but concerned bicyclists. So right now there's a pretty comprehensive bike network in Longmont. However, a lot of those bike facilities are high stress. They're not comfortable for most people biking. So we want to upgrade those current bike facilities based off of the street characteristics, so the volume and speed of those roadways, and have a more comfortable bike facility. There are also a number of places where there's gaps in the bike network today, where there's no bike facility at all, where the TMP is recommending a bike facility that is comfortable. And then we've also noticed not a lack of consistency in standards, especially neighborhood bikeways, making sure that they're meeting set standards. So all local roadways are providing a consistent way for people to bike and have the appropriate signage and striping. So we really dug deeper on the neighborhood bikeways specifically, as well as protected bike lanes, which are 2 bike facility types that are relatively new in Longmont, to make sure that they have community support and to make sure that we're identifying standards and signage and consistency in what those facility types look like, and that they're designated on the appropriate roadways. So we have a draft map of proposed bicycle facilities that we've been circulating to the community, to stakeholders, to the advisory board and focus groups as well, to make sure that the facility types are appropriate and that there aren't any gaps in the network. So would love comments from this group as well. And we have an online survey that will be opened until Monday if folks want to fill out the survey and provide feedback on the draft bike network that way as well. And then transit. The goal is obviously to improve transit in Longmont, to make it convenient and reliable to take transit within Longmont as well as regionally. So the recommendation here is to focus on local fixed route service. So many of you have probably heard of the microtransit service that will be coming online in the next couple of months in Longmont, where people are able for low cost to take point-to-point transit service or kind of microtransit service within Longmont. So this is an on-demand service where you're able to access destinations that aren't accessible on the current RTD service. They're going to fill in those gaps in the transit network. There's also been a heavy amount of investment in regional transit. So obviously BRT to Boulder, work on the Kaufman Street Bikeway and the First and Main station. So this gap that we've identified through the TMP process is about fixed route service locally. So identifying the corridors where we want to prioritize fixed route service that can be more cost effective than microtransit, but provide that intra-Longmont connections that aren't covered with the regional investments. And then on the transit side, the other piece that we heard from the community is that not only do they want more coverage, which is this third most common response of what are your barriers to taking transit, but that people want the bus to come more frequently, so increased frequency, or the bus doesn't come early or late enough, so increasing span. So the frequency and span conversation is one that through phase 2 of outreach, we've asked for a greater level of detail on. So we're asking community members, which routes do they want to see an increased investment in? And do they want to see more frequency or early morning or late evening coverage on each of those respective routes? And then next step. So some of you were present at our open house. We had lots of great attendance. We had a brief presentation with really good Q&A and then had folks interact with our boards and provide feedback. Our online survey is open. I guess it closes Friday. We'll technically close on Monday for those who want to do some weekend surveying. And then we've been reaching out to a number of focus groups. Latino Chamber of Commerce, our center, we were at the farmers market on Saturday. as well. So having some really focused conversations with community members about how some of the missing gaps in these recommendations or what they like and kind of what project recommendations they want to prioritize. And then, as I said, the plan will be finalized this winter. So I'll hand it over to Cammie to talk about Vision Zero.
Great. And I just put Carly's contact information and mine and our feedback link to the TMP that she just talked about in the chat. So since we're combined, I kind of just put them there. Some of you may or may not know, but in 2023, the city of Longmont adopted Vision Zero. And then I came over to start as a Vision Zero coordinator in 2024 in February. So we've been working on getting our plan together and all the pieces to kind of launch our community engagement efforts, as the city has committed to a goal of 0 fatalities and serious injuries by 2040 for the city. If you haven't seen a lot about Vision Zero, one of the main tenets is that it's a way we manage our transportation system that is going to shift in how we're going to reach our goals of zero deaths. And so the traditional system, you can see sort of on the left, I won't read it out loud. The safe system is sort of how we will do Vision Zero. I can follow up with any of you if you're interested more on Vision Zero kind of strategies. But it's really a systemic change that is going to lend us towards reaching our Vision Zero goals. The systematic change in the approach that we will use, which a lot of communities across the country and a lot of communities in Boulder County have already are using or will use, is called the SAFE system, or the SAFE system approach. It organizes how we will retool and reorganize and kind of track what we're working on into these 5 colored buckets that you can see, which are safer people, safer vehicles, safer speeds, safer roads, and post-crash care. Go ahead. I know we have a limited time, so I'm trying to get through this quickly here. But one of the guideposts for the Longmont is that really, if we want to bring down our fatal injury and serious injury rates, we're going to really need to have to focus on kinetic energy and reducing that in crashes. So that is our new kind of Vision Zero guidepost, is to really look at, if we're going to be making improvements on the road, whether they're slapped with a safety label or not, is the effort really going to help bring down kinetic energy if there is, or if a crash happens to occur. So that's our new guidepost. These are the safe system elements, which I mentioned, so we can go skip past this already. In the past 6 months, one of the things that we've been working on before we launch a Vision Zero task force, which I'm going to tell you about shortly, is pulling together some of our baseline data. So we've developed a fatal and serious injury map. So this is what we are considering our high injury network. And this map shows the density of where our hotspots are. So where those intersections or road segments where all of our fatal and serious injuries have occurred over the past 6 years. What you'll see behind some of the hot spots on this map are kind of bluish purple. They're essentially census tracts. Those we've used some equity data to really say, hey, with the limited funds we have right now, where do we want to prioritize our investments? So we want to make sure that we're really taking an equity-based approach. So these are going to be sort of our equity emphasis areas, or what we're calling our Vision Zero zones, that we want to look at projects to invest in these areas first, while we're working on getting an action plan together and some more systemic approaches identified. Project-based work will continue to be prioritized in these zones. And this is just an example of our high injury network. It's very busy, but it essentially shows you where all of our fatal and serious injuries have occurred. The red dots and lines show where fatal crashes have occurred on the roads they've occurred on. The more orange dots and segments show where our serious injury crashes have occurred. We have applied for SS4A funding. Many communities around us have. SS4A funding is federal dollars that is really setting up communities to do this safety-based work. To be eligible for lots of future funding, communities are going to need to have a comprehensive safety plan. So our Vision Zero action plan will serve as Longmont's comprehensive safety plan. And within that, the feds are requiring these 8 strategies. We've already got a good start on some of these. So the first 3 buckets, we've already have a draft of, and the rest we're already working on. So this will be the work that we use, or these will be kind of the categories that we work with our Vision Zero action or task force on. We'll kind of have them help us guide us through this work. Go ahead, Carly. Skip. There we go. Go ahead and skip this one for now. So really what we're going to do is the TMP is ahead of the Vision Zero action plan process. So the transportation mobility plan is really looking at that high level vision for multimodal travel on Longmont. It's going to take a deeper, Vision Zero will take a deeper dive on safety and equity. We are going to feather these plans together. They're both data driven, they're both community based. And we will use both of these plans together to help make Longmont more competitive for future funding. Hopefully in the future, they will end up being one plan. Right now, there'll be 2 separate plans. But the TMP will give us the roadmap while Vision Zero will kind of guide us in the details to get us there safely. I just want to put out that we are looking for any members from Longmont to join our Vision Zero task force. The link is in the chat. We hope to launch our Vision Zero task force in about a month. We are going to be putting out an email to those who have expressed interest to give you the details of what being a member of the task force might look like, hopefully by the end of this month, early September. So if you'd like to just get Longmont's Vision Zero updates and or would like to see the information about what participating in the task force would look like, please sign up on our interest form. And before I go, I just want to take a second to say about 2 weeks ago, we've hired a Vision Zero engagement specialist. Some of you will recognize his name, Dylan Zamora Silva. He was formerly of the Mobility for All team with Boulder County. So we are lucky to have him be a part of the team here in Longmont to help launch this Vision Zero work.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think there's a couple of questions in the chat. So let me see.
And I
Sarah
realized
had
we did that
asked
really quick. So sorry for just rapid speaking.
Oh, no, it's okay. No worries. Sarah had asked real quick for the link to the survey, but I think Elaine had the survey. She found the link, so thank you for doing that, Elaine.
And I think I added it too, so hopefully it's in for you, Sarah.
Natalie, you also had a question. Do you wanna comment on it instead of me reading it? I don't know if you're able.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. And I just sent an email to Carly and Cammie as well. With transit, a plan was developed in 2019 with the 119 BRT overall plan. And I just want to make sure that as we move forward, we're all going to be on the same page. So what is in that plan is what RTD anticipates. And if we need to make changes, because through your studies and information and feedback, we found out that, well, adjustments should be made. What's in that plan is not necessarily the best anymore now that, it's past COVID and that was pre-COVID. Then we need to know, and we need to coordinate that sooner than later, because 119 BRT is basic, we're in the process and it's supposed to start in 2027. I know that sounds like it's far out, but when it comes to these things, 2 years is not a lot of time. So just want to make sure we're all on the same page, and look it over. And then if we need to coordinate somehow, just let me know. And we can, if we need to make adjustments or think we need to make adjustments, we have to go through that process, that we can look to do that with our public outreach process that we do for 119 as well.
Okay. Great. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Cammie.
Oh, Natalie, I was just going to say that I know you've been working with Phil really closely on all of this. And he just happened to not be here today. But yeah, we are very well aware, very tied in, and that any of those kind of conversations will definitely happen. And I know Phil and Carly have already been looking at all of those pieces and incorporating all of the pre-existing plans while kind of the Vision Zero is following and learning about all those plans. So I think we'll have no problem working together to maintain what has already been envisioned and make those adjustments if needed.
Yeah, the only challenge is And this is why I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that as we move forward with the BRT, the station locations have to be identified and we can't change those. So those BRT stations are going to go where they're going to go. And if there are needs to adjust the local system, and it's different from what is in this feeder plan, which was based on where these stations were going to go, then we need to start working on that and figure things out. So it's, yeah, that's where I'm at. Okay, this we come up with routes and then we have these stations in place and then it doesn't make any sense and we're going to have to backtrack. I'd rather make sure we all stay well ahead, and then as we go to public process next year, we can make sure we're on the same page and explain why we're doing what we're doing between the projects. And I saw several emails from City Longmont. I think Phil had forwarded some comments that were regarding the outreach process. And in some of these, this came up, as well as obviously always the right to the airport. But within the local network, there were several comments that came up. And so just 100%, you know, absolutely want to work with you, want to make it work, willing to make adjustments as they make the most sense. It's just we have to keep the timeline in mind. And it's one thing that you're looking to implement this project versus where we're moving forward with the BRT and what our constraints are going to be.
Thanks. Thank you, Donnelly. Yeah. Heard and understood for sure. So we can loop back around offline.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Any other questions for Cammie or Carly? I know that Longmont is doing a lot of work with both a TMP and a Vision Zero plan, so I'm excited to see how this changes the way people get around and how they safely move in the city. So good job, Cammie and Carly. Yes. Okay, so we are, I think, done with the presentations. Thank you all for sharing and for giving us those updates. Before we adjourn, Gabe Christie has an event coming up. So Gabe, do you want to tell us a little bit about your event and just maybe share the information for everybody who wants to join?
Absolutely. Thanks, Jessica.
Yeah.
So the ADA office, RT's ADA office, which is myself and my small team, we work with our community of persons with disabilities, and we're holding a listening session at Brewability in Denver, and that's a brewery and pizzeria. It's located off of 34th and Broadway in Inglewood, and we'll be there for about 3 hours, listening to the community, receiving feedback, and really just getting a feel for what we can do better, right? And maybe it always helps to hear what we do well, right? That's always encouraging. But we would actually encourage you all to come out and join us. We do have, thank you, Jessica, for posting the Eventbrite. We do have a sign up, and so we'd ask that you'd sign up. That way we can make sure that everybody, we can anticipate you and make sure we have pizza for you, right? Because we will be providing pizza. And so please come on out. Let us know what RT can do better, what we do well, and how we can improve. And myself and our new outreach specialist, Giza Sims, will be there to hear feedback from the community. So I look forward to seeing you all there.
I gotta say, I love the name of the event, Gabbing with Gabe and Giza. So a community listening event. Yeah, I added the information in the chat, and I hope you can go join them. Last but not least, Elaine, you went to the Right for Magnus event. Do you have like a couple of minutes to tell us how it went? And yeah, it sounds like it was a very big event.
Yeah, I was able to attend the Ride for Magnus, what was that, a week ago Sunday. There were 4,000 attendees. Some were people attending virtually. So apparently not only were there the 3,000 local riders, there were riders represented from every state in the country and 20 other countries as well. So this was an event that definitely had a lot of focus, a lot of passion. And it was great because, you know, there was the mix of sometimes they get called the Lycra riders, people who are in their full kits out riding. I see Brandon smiling at that. And people just really casual, more kind of everyday riders, because, you know, it's a great example of why this is important, whether you're out, you know, being on a road, doing your exercise or commuting. And, you know, I'm one of both. So I was really excited to participate, not just the raising awareness for the need for safety for cyclists on the road, because, you know, clearly this was such an unfortunate thing that happened with Magnus. A person fell asleep at the wheel, no clue, just, you know, and there's no barrier, no nothing to protect this young man. I am somebody who actually made a stink about, well, I'm no longer riding the diagonal. It is a road that I would commute on. And I had not been on my bike in that section for, okay, 8 years, but 15 years ago that I normally, you know, said, I'm just done commuting on this road. It's too terrifying. So there were some great speakers, including Governor Polis, Joe Neguse, the family of Magnus White, the head of Trek, all just carrying that, you know, like we were just hearing from Longmont, our roads need to be for everybody to use how they need to get to the places we want to get to. You know, a reason I'm passionate about the bikeway that will start next month under construction along 119. You know, we'll have enhanced transit as well as a bikeway down the middle. But I mean, it's twice as long of a bike commute for me when I decide that I'm going to ride that. And I think we've identified a corridor along 119 that's very, very available for commuters as well as people like Magnus. You know, in this community, as long as I have lived here, there have been professional level cyclists in the area. So, you know, it's always makes me smile to know, you know, I'm out there on roads with folks like that. So just it was a really moving event. Great to be part of it. Great to see just such a range, a lot of people with kids that they brought on their e-bikes. There's some incredible footage people have gotten because, you know, for instance, by the time I got on to the 119, people had already gone up and done the circle and come back down the other side. And it was just incredible to see that many people out riding. So yeah, I was really happy to be there. And they had kind of 3 asks for people of reaching out and let's work to, you know, make changes in legislation and infrastructure. And the great news is that last week, the Boulder County Commissioners did, in fact, approve the plan or approve the study that was done on a bikeway along 36 that would connect Boulder to Lyons. And, you know, this is sort of like 119 and having a bikeway was 10 or 15 years ago. So that's not something that can happen tomorrow. Infrastructure in this country takes a long time, but just a recognition that we do need to plan for these options. So as I say, really exciting to be part of it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I added to the in the chat the YouTube videos of Magnus's mom and dad who gave a speech at the end, I think, of the rally. So thank you.
If you're faint of heart and don't like gore, I just want to have people aware. Magnus's father, Michael, was quite forthcoming about a lot of things that are not always easy to listen to.
Yeah.
Just be aware.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Elaine. And we are on time. So we're at time and we did it. Thank you all so much for sticking through this meeting. I hope it was informative. And we will see you online on September 17th. We'll have a panel discussion and more information to come. But thank you all and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.